Hello, my name is Alexis, and today for my Intercultural Comm assignment, my topic is identity awareness. Before answering my questions, I would like to share a few facts with you. Fact number 1, identity. Identity is defined by Martin and Nakayama as who we are and who people think we are. Fact number 2, the social science perspective. This perspective emphasizes that identity is formed partially by the individual itself and partially through group membership. The self is composed of many identities that are formed through big and small events that happen throughout our lives. These events help us understand ourselves. Fact number 3, racial identity. This is defined by Martin and Nakayama as relating to a certain racial group. Scientists now recognize that race is made up of fluid social and historical contexts instead of through biological characteristics. Now that I've shared all my facts with you, it's time for me to answer my questions. Question number 1. When did you learn that having a racial identity was different from having another racial identity? My first experience was way back in primary school when I followed my friend back to her house, and the first thing she did when she went home was she went in and then she said Assalamualaikum, and she walked towards her mother and she took her mom's hand and touched it to her forehead. I was really confused at that time, so I was just like, "Hi auntie." It was only later that when I asked my friend that she explained to me that it was how Malays actually greeted elder people, so that's how I understood from there. When you learned this, how did you feel? When I first learned this, I was quite interested in how different two cultures could be, and we started sharing more about each other. And from then on, we eventually became best friends. What are the advantages and disadvantages of having this racial identity for you personally? An advantage of having a racial identity would be probably it's easier to relate to people who are in the same racial identity as you because of the cultural heritage you share. You have something in common which helps you relate to the other person even though that person is just a stranger. The disadvantages would be it might cause conflict when people from two different racial identities are communicating with each other because what may seem appropriate in one of their racial identities may seem inappropriate in the other person's racial identity. So that has to be worked out. And also, another disadvantage would be racial stereotypes. People might stereotype you to act a certain way just because you're from this racial identity. How does your racial identity influence the way you communicate with people from your own and other races? Communicating with people from the same racial identity, I think it's more comfortable for me because I feel that that person has mutual understanding with me because of the culture that we share. And sometimes there's slangs, there's languages which people from the same racial identity as me would understand. So you feel like more laid back when you're communicating with someone from the same racial identity. Whereas communicating with someone from a different racial identity is slightly different because you need to be more considerate about the other person. Make sure you don't say things that might offend them, or your body language, or the way you communicate. So yeah, and I think it's a two-way thing how two people of different racial identities communicate. You have to be considerate about each other's feelings, you understand each other's culture in order to make sure that there's no conflict. So we've come to the end of my presentation, and I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope it gave you an insight on identity awareness. So please review my presentation, and thanks for listening.